Hello, welcome to episode 26 of Dick Moby, or I can't believe he is still doing this after a full day of his life. I am unreading Moby Dick. I'm reading it backwards, from end to beginning, chapter by chapter, from now until the end of the universe, for your entertainment, keeping you sane, keeping me sane, and supporting the National Video Game Museum, which is down there. That's the address in the corner down there. You can give them money. Don't give me any money for this. This has no commercial value whatsoever. But the National Video Game Museum is a great cause, and they are struggling. Are they struggling? I don't even know if they're still struggling, but they're raising money to get them through lockdown. Things are easing, but probably not enough to keep them afloat with no visitors. So it would be great if you could contribute anything to them if you think this is worthwhile. It's not worthwhile artistically. I'm sure the Melville estate will be delighted if they ever get wind of what I have done to their great American novel of 1851, The Great Moby Dick. How far have we got through Moby Dick, you may ask? Not far enough. Chapter 72 we just finished. The Monkey Rope, or Monkey Rope as I should say. Hopefully today we can hammer in this very, very long chapter. I skipped ahead slightly at the end of the last episode of this. And this chapter goes on for ages. So I have my work cut out, but, you know, I feel like my resolve is infinite at this point. I feel like my resolve has gone all the way around and come back to where it started. I'm getting a second wind for this project. Given that we are almost halfway through, we're nearly halfway through in terms of word count. I can see the scroll bar on the window in which I'm reading this. And that is nearly halfway along, halfway up the document. The sperm count is almost it's over half full because I drew them too big. But in terms of numbers, we're nearly halfway there. There's 271 individual instances of the word sperm in Moby Dick. So I'm using the sperm count as a sort of progress bar to keep track of where I'm up to. I think we're on about 130 of 271. So close to halfway. We've had a couple of very spunky episodes recently. We had a 16 sperm episode. We had a 17 sperm episode, which was the record. Last episode we only had 4 sperm, which is disappointing after such a good run. So I'm hoping that today there is going to be a massive, massive influx of sperm. So stick with it, and we will find out if that is the case. Without further ado, let's crack on. A fair wild, this to reference in hinted were things strange many. Whale that of jacket thee upon work, their resumed seaman doesn't count, the interlude this after as. And yes, I am reading this backwards. I'm not kidding. If you haven't seen this before, well done, avoiding it for this long. But I'm afraid it is literally true. I'm unreading Moby Dick. So shit is Moby Dick that after I read it in my early 20s, so going on for 5 years ago, not 5 years ago, going on for a long time ago now, I hated it so much that I wish I'd never read it. It's one of the only books I've ever read that I thought, well, that was a waste of time. And so it occurred to me that I can unread it and evacuate it from my memory simply by reading it backwards. No one realised this until I started, that you can actually dumb yourself down by reading a book backwards. And in doing so live on the internet, I can dumb other people down. I've been trying to dumb people down for years, my kids in particular. But I feel like I'm going to practice on you by doing this to you twice a week, forever. Pequod the from away shot rapidly boat mutinous, the manner that in and. Oars there with way, give to comrades his to outshrieked Gabriel then. Feet Ahab's at Fellit. Ship, who's Gabriel? I wish they'd introduce characters properly in reverse. Like when Gabriel passed out of the story when reading it forwards, it should have a kind of a little outro for him, a little post-amble to sort of unintroduce the character, so that going this way it's not such an abrupt entry into the story. It's even worse when someone dies. Everyone gets a bit sad, and then all of a sudden a new character appears. Feet Ahab's at Felit, ship that into back loaded thus it sent. It on letter the impaling and boat knife the seized, instant and in it clutched he. Hand eager Gabriel's with a long-ranged suddenly letter the magic by if as that so. Oh, it's good that they've got the caster out. The mage of the party is going to get involved in this rumble. That's so. Stern ships the towards little adrifted boat the rowing from desisted expectantly oarsman the so did he as but boat the towards over it reached and pole the of slit the in it caught he hands Starbucks from missive fatal the taking and receive it to now by stand Mayhew captain Ahab yelled thee throttle curses. Way that going soon art thou, Ahab to Gabriel cried. Thyself it keep, nay. It have me let but, Mayhew sighed. Wife his from and, fellow poor. Dead he's and, Macy it's why. Jeroboam's ship, Macy Harry Mister, I, wager I'll, wife man's the, hand pinny woman's a. Harry Mister, yes, Mister, muttered letter the holding Ahab meantime. Ship the to closer any coming it's without, boat the to it hand, way that in and, there letter the insert to, end the split slightly knife his with and, pole's cutting spade long a took Starbuck, out it studying was he as, this what's? Scroll dimmer but it's, aye. Man, me it give, Ahab cried. It read not canst. Postboy the bean have well might himself death, letter a such of. Cabin the of locker dark a in kept being of consequence in, mould green, spotted, dull a with covered and damp, tumbled sorely was it. Hand his in letter a with return Starbuck soon. More or years 3 or 2 of age and attaining after received only are many and mark their reach never letters most thus. Oceans for that in them encountering of chance mere the upon depends addressed be may they whom to persons that to delivery whose ships various for letters of number goodly out takes whale ship every. Oh good, this is the post-delivery chapter. Excellent. I remember this from reading it the first time forwards. How you can write one of the longest chapters in the book. It may not be the longest chapter. It may be nowhere near the longest chapter. I don't know that. It's certainly not the shortest chapter in the book. It should be, but it's nothing like the shortest chapter in the book. The shortest chapter in the book being literally 1 paragraph. Also the most exciting chapter due to its length, or lack of. This chapter, which is a behemoth of a chapter, a leviathan of a chapter, concerns solely the delivery of mail, if I remember rightly. This is the description of the maritime postal service run by whale ships, as if they have nothing better to do. And we have nothing better to do. We might as well crack on with it. Bag the overlook, Starbuck. Not mistake I if. Officers thy of one for letter a is there. Letter bag my of me bethought. Just have I, captain. Mayhew to said then. Aside turn stolidly Ahab. End blasphemers the of beware. There down and dead. Blasphemer the of think. Finger pointed downward with. Exclaimed vehemently and... Man old the upon glaring, feet his to started more once Gabriel, then straightway. Aye, answered Ahab, which too. Offer should opportunity if, whale white the hunt to intended he whether inquiring forbear not could captain stranger that, him to questions such put Ahab, narration his concluded having Mayhew. Ship the to terror nameless became he, allowed margin wide that in marks many of one hit to chanced have so and done have might one any which prophecy general a making only of instead it foreannounced specifically had he that believed disciples credulous his because influence added with archangel the clothed event terrible this whale the of hunting further the from crew terror stricken the off called Gabriel vile the shriek piercing raising ship the from descried plainly was macy of form falling the with calamity holder. Oh, we're up for a calamity. I didn't realise there was a calamity involved. Exciting. Dead stark being mander discernible is violence of marks single a not recovered bean has body the when one than instances more in that circumstance that is all of strangest but body the accompanies and place its from torn is stands headsman the which in thighboard the oar off knocked is bow boats the oftener annihilated thus is who man the but injured is nothing sometimes any as frequent as almost perhaps or frequent any as frequent as almost perhaps is kind this fishery sperm whale whee our first sperm of the day fishery sperm whale that in accidents fatal the of that here parenthesized to well is it at least I hope it's the first sperm of the day. What have you been up to today? It's a Friday, it's a work day. You shouldn't I know you're working at home, come on leave the freelancers 11sies out of it. Here we go, I'm going to draw our first sperm of the day. I don't draw the sperm straight onto the big board, you see. I draw them onto the sperm buffer. Because it's too much of a pain in the arse to have to keep jumping up and down to draw the sperms. So I draw the sperm on the buffer there as we go along. If the sperm flux becomes such that I can no longer keep up while reading, I'll instead keep a tally. But worry not, I will document our sperm journey as we go. And then when you're not watching, at least I hope you're not watching, I try and remember to turn the webcam off after all the sperm is done. I will go up and transfer the sperm from the buffer to the big board, and then I can wipe the sperm off the buffer for next time and get it all nice and clean and ready to cover in sperm again. Where was I? Oh yes, sank ever 4, mate the butt. Head oarsman's any of hair a nor, harmed was boat the of chip a not, yards 50 about of distance the at sea the into fell, descend his in arc long a making and, ere the into bodily smitten was, life furious of full so, mate luckless the instant next. Oarsman the of bodies the of out breath the taking temporarily, motion fanning quick its by. See the from rose shadow white broad lo lance poised his for chance fair a get to essaying and wail the upon exclamations wild his venting was tribe his of energy reckless the all with and bow boats his in upstanding was mate the macy while now divinity his of assailant sacrilegious the to doom speedy of prophecies forth hurling and gestures frantic in arm one tossing was masthead main royal the to ascending Gabriel meantime fast iron one getting in succeeded last at he onsets unsuccessful perilous many and pulling weary much after and off pushed he them with boat his man to men 5 persuading in succeeded macy forewarnings and denunciations archangels the all despite opportunity the have him let to unwilling not being himself captain the and him encounter to ardour with burned mate chief the macy mastheads the from sighted fairly was Dick Moby. Oh my goodness Dick Moby's in it. Would you believe it? After all this time Dick Moby is in the story. It has only been 60 chapters since the last sighting of the main character, the protagonist of this story, Dick Moby himself. Oh, heavens to Betsy. He's back. Call Nantucket. Call 911. 911. I don't think they call it 911 anymore, do they? But in Nantucket in the 1850s, you know, they wouldn't have had phones then, would they? So they might have telegrammed somebody. Would they have telegrammed 911? Dick Moby at sea, stop. Sorry, I'd stopped. Dick Moby, afterwards, to or year some when but. Bible the receiving shakers, the incarnated God shaker. I just pictured, you know, a really big God shaking a little God. Incarnated God shaker, the than being a less no be he to whale white, the pronouncing. Insanity gibbering his in. I know the feeling. Seen be should monster the case in. Whale white the attacking against captain the warn solemnly Gabriel. Intelligence this in sucking greedily. Oh dear. Made had he havoc the and Dick. Moby of existence the of apprised reliably were people her. Whale ship a speaking upon when home left long not had Jeroboam the that seemed it. Him with leagued seemed that sea crazy the and mentioned was name his whenever Gabriel from interruptions frequent without. However not Dick Moby concerning story dark began Mayhew captain over was interlude this when. Oh, the interlude is over. What a shame. There was a little interlude there where it sounded like something was going to happen. Dick Moby had turned up, but now it's all over, and back to the mail service we go. Warrant to seemed nature archangel his than apprehensiveness more rather with it eyeing seen was Gabriel and violently very about jogged head whale sperm way there's another one hoisted there. Meantime, I'll do it at the end of the paragraph. Let's not interrupt us as we go through. Meantime, it having not tumbling were seas the of caprices occasional those of one by which by rolled waves riotous of succession a while moments some foresaid was nothing. Fiends by dragged, and they said friends then. I used to watch Fiends. The one with the giant whale. Fiends by dragged if as a head tore boat thee again but. That Gabriel again thee tell I. Tale horrible thee of beware. Sunken stoven whaleboat thy of think. Back drifted boat the when Ahab demanded. Whale white, the scene thou hast? Better draw that sperm before we go too much further. Don't want to miss a sperm. Don't want a sperm to get by me. Gotta catch them all. Oh, that's Pokemon, isn't it? We bought a Switch. Finally caved. It's my kid's birthday in a couple of weeks. And I deserve a Switch. So we bought one. They might get a go. I think they've got a Pokemon game with it. I find Pokemon entirely incomprehensible. I had the one where you have to walk around the streets and throw digital balls at digital creatures inhabiting the real world. It just gave me the fear. I didn't know what to do with it. I never played it properly. I walked around a bit. I threw some balls around in the street. And then I didn't know what to do with them. There's no game there as far as I can see. What are you supposed to do with them once you've got these creatures? I have no idea. So they've got one where you don't have to walk about the streets quite so much. I think you can because it's the Switch, isn't it? You can walk about as much as you want. You can walk around the streets playing Pokemon. You can have a shit playing Pokemon. You know, anything you like. It's dangerous as far as I'm concerned. Anyway, so we're getting Pokemon. They'll get into that, no doubt. I'll spend the next year of my life listening to stories of how, a Moldagon has evolved into a Mooblipom and has gained 30 middle flips. Could mean anything. They watch it on the TV. They watch a man called Bricks O'Brien, who I recommend. He's actually very funny, playing Pokemon, and another guy who does it as well. they play Nintendo games on the internet, streaming nonsense for hour after hour. I don't know who would get into that sort of crap. But anyway, this man, one of them's quite funny, Bricks O'Brien. I recommend him. If he's far less offensive than a lot of them. But the game itself, as far as I can see, it's like reading a spreadsheet in a foreign language. Really, really fast. Like it's just numbers, and silly names that I just can't follow it at all. So I dread to think what tea times are going to be like with my kids after they start playing that. They want a Mario game as well, so they'll have to get a Mario game as well. And Breath of the Wild, I guess I'll play that. I didn't like the other one, Ocarina of Time. The Legend of Zelda games I'm talking about, if you've not played them. I've played exactly one of them before, Ocarina of Time, which I found to be a complete ball ache from start to finish. Didn't enjoy that at all. But once again, I made the mistake of starting playing it in front of my children and then couldn't stop, because once you start something like that, you must finish. So I did. It took me forever. Took months, literal months of my life playing that. We got to this bongo boss. If you know the game, then you probably remember it. If you don't know the game, as I didn't, and as I wish I still didn't, maybe I can unplay it. Don't know if you can actually play it backwards. But you have to fight this thing, which is like a giant disembodied. Is it a face or is it just an eye? I can't remember. And it's got these two hands that bang down on you and slap you around. And that took forever to get past. And especially, it does this thing, terrible design in my opinion, that once you lose the boss fight against this big bongo boss thing, rather than say, okay, you failed to do it a couple of times, let's give you a bit of a way into this. Well, let's at least start you with full health next to the room with the boss, and maybe even scatter a few additional weapons and buffs around and potions or whatever to give you a bit of a chance. No, Ocarina of Time starts you out way back like 10 minutes before the boss, so you have to traipse through the same dungeon again just to get back to the same point, except this time it starts you with about a fifth of your health. So to have any chance, you have to not only traipse through the dungeon but also backtrack around the whole place looking for health. And God forbid you should get hurt on the way through this thing. And then you get back to the bongo boss thing and it just kills you within two strikes of its massive fists. And that's it, you're back to... You can see why it took so long and why it's so annoying. I'm not really into that kind of game. I'm not very good at that kind of game. I'm generally pretty good at games, I'd like to think. Certain kinds of games anyway. But that's not in my wheelhouse, that at all. I really struggle with it. And I couldn't get away with not doing it with my with my kids knowing about it and getting into the story. So who knows? Breath of the Wild might be a better game. I've heard it's very well designed. Quite looking forward to seeing what they've done with the franchise and the mechanics of that over whatever it is, 20 years since Ocarina of Time. When did Ocarina of Time come out? Was it before? Maybe early 2000s. Was it before 2000? Maybe. So it's been a good chunk of time for them to refine the formula. So who knows? It might be pretty good. We shall see. I'm not particularly looking forward to Pokemon or any of the other games on the Switch. Most things on the Switch I would play on the PC anyway. A lot of the stuff I'm interested in is already it's stuff that's been ported from PC games anyway. So I've probably already played them. I did play Thumper on the Switch. A friend of mine had a Switch and I had to go at Thumper, which I played on the PC and really enjoy. But on the Switch, it didn't quite have the frame rate for it, and every time it stuttered a little bit, it really put you off your rhythm, which for a rhythm game is not so clever. Which is a shame because it's a fantastic game. I recommend it. You should play Thumper, play Thoth, which is a great twin stick shooter with kind of slightly puzzly mechanics. Very clever. I like that. I'm just generally into games that begin with th. In fact, I'm making one. I'm making Thrunt XL, so you should wishlist that on Steam. There you go, segue into a little plug. Let's continue before I forget where I was. I have forgotten where I was. I'd highlighted the word sperm, so we'd obviously gone further than sperm, and I've drawn one, so I think we were probably up here somewhere. Tale horrible the of beware, sunken... Oh, I read that. Back drifted boat the when Ahab demanded, whale white the scene thou hast... Speech all drowned seethings its hand. Ahead far boat the shot wave headlong instant that but. Either must thou, Mayhew Captain cried. Gabriel, Gabriel. I mustn't shout that too loud because it's my kid's name. He'd probably wake up. Plague horrible the of beware. Bilious and yellow fevers the of think. Feet his to started Gabriel now but. Board on come. Doesn't count. Stern boats the in stood who, Mayhew captain to, bullocks the from Ahab said, man, epidemic thy not fear I. How appropriate. Pequod there to return to time is it but, others many so bedeviling and deceiving of power measureless, his as himself. Look at that for a paragraph. Good grief. Measureless his as himself fanatic of self-deception measureless the to respect in striking so half fanatics if it may actually just be one sentence striking so half fanatics of history that is nor true are they wondrous however but incredible seem may things such God atu as homage personal him rendering sometimes homage we'll go with rendering sometimes instructions his to obedience in him before fawned them of some and cringed devils poor mostly sailors the pleasure good his to according but stayed be it should nor command soul his at was it called he as plague the that declaring ever than hand higher a carried he outbroken had epidemic the since and mates and captain the for nothing or little cared archangel the that was this all of consequence the ship the of freedom complete the had Gabriel that passed to came it that so would he what do or say maltreated way any be to Gabriel permit they would nor plan his relinquish to force therefore was he remain would them of man are not ship the from sent was Gabriel if him told and captain the to went they body are in last at that crew the among disciples his upon work he did strongly so out carried was intention this case in perdition unconditional to hands all and ship the devoting vials and seals his all opened forthwith archangel the port convenient first the in him land to was intention individuals that appraised but it's really annoying me this whole archangel thing. I'm guessing that basically the guy's called Gabriel, right? So he's gone deep into the whole archangel imagery. But he didn't have to call the guy Gabriel, did he? I wonder if he decided I'm going to write a chapter about an archangel and I'm going to have to call the character Gabriel. Or did he decide the character was going to be called Gabriel and then reached deep inside his enormous store of of classical imagery and thought, okay, we'll go with archangel. It wasn't critically well received, Moby Dick, as far as I understand it. It was only later, long after Herman Melville's death, that it was really appreciated by people. Not me, but people who, are idiots. Let's face it, it's the 19th century. Everyone was an idiot. Not like today. Archangel there, port convenient first that in him land to was, I might have missed a bit there, to was intentioned individuals that I read this already. I've not only have I not missed a bit, I've doubled a bit. I've duplicate unread something, so now I've negative read this bit. So now I'm going to have to read it forwards. I'll do that later. I'm not going to bore you now. But later on, I'll have to read that bit forwards so that I'm back to zero, having zero reads of it. I wouldn't want this bit to be in my psyche only backwards. I want to try and expunge all of this from my psyche. Him of rid been, exactly, I'm going to rid been it. Have fain would captain incredulous the, pleased he when accept work to refused he as especially. Ship that in use practical much of not was, however, man as such as. Him of afraid were they, moreover, sacredness of atmosphere and with crew ignorant, and with, comma, take a breath, crew ignorant the of majority, the of minds that in Gabriel this invest to united. Delirium real of terrors preternatural that all and imagination excited, sleepless his of play daring, dark the things these declared he which with earnestness unflinching the Oceanica all of vicar general and see that of isles the of deliverer that as forth himself set he whereby manifesto his published he. Overboard jumped to captain the commanded and Gabriel archangel that as himself announced he. Freshet at in out broke insanity his. Land of sight of out getting ships the upon straightway but him engaged they. Voyage whaling Jeroboam's the for candidate green hand as himself offered and exterior common sense steady assumed he. Craziness to peculiar cunning that with where Nantucket for Nescuna left had he. I don't know where that is. Do you know where that is? Where's that? Leave a comment. Where's Nescuna? Nescuna. I don't know. Left had he. Him seized having whim apostolic. Strange laudanum with charged B to supposed was. Gunpowder containing of instead, which but vest pocket his in carried he which vile seventh the of opening speedy the announcing trapdoor out of way the by heaven from descended time several having meeting secret cracked therein profit great have been had he where shakers nescuna of society crazy the among nurtured originally been had he. This was story his. Jeroboam that in everybody almost over ascendancy wonderful again had question in scaramouche that seemed it learned subsequently was what and account this to according. Now you'd be tempted to do the whole thing, wouldn't you, having read that, but that's the only lyric I know from Bohemian Rhapsody apart from Bohemian Rhapsody. That's the bit I know, that and Scaramouche. I'm not a big Queen fan. You know, pardon my ignorance with Queen, but it all sounds like novelty songs to me. I don't get it. I don't get it at all. It all sounds like novelty party music. I class it along with the Okey Cokey and that one, you remember, brush your teeth, wave your hands, pat your head and stroke your tummy. Superman. You remember you had to do Superman at the school disco. And then We Are the Champions. Town Ho. Sorry if you like Queen. I don't care if you like Queen. It doesn't bother me. Go ahead, like Queen, whatever. You know, you can like whoever you want. Like Smashing Pumpkins if you want. I don't know. Town ho the spoke Pequod the when previous time some crew her among man certain and Jeroboam the of told story strange to alluded here stub of us told company town hoes the scaramouche long togged the he that's exclaimed had stub described first been had figure this as soon so. Eyes his in was delirium fanatic settled deep wrists his on uprolled were which of sleeves overlapping the him enveloped tinge walnut faded out of coat cut cabalistically cut long skirted what a ridiculous bit of hyphenation there. Cabalistically cut. Cabalistically? I don't know how you pronounce that really. Hair yellow redundant wearing and freckles with face his over all sprinkled Man, man youngish, short, small, was he? Sorry, tickled me. Totalities all up make notabilities individual, where life wailing wild, that in even. Appearance singular, of man was, both Jeroboam's the in awe and pulling. I really thought this chapter would have finished by now. 35 minutes already. Sort different very of interruption, another still without not intervals at but. Parties to the between sustained was conversation then and now interruptions like the other and. This to subject. Again bearings proper her to brought skilfully soon be would but. A headway some pushed be would boat the. Wave rolling large of onset sudden the by times at indeed though. Aback main topsail her with fresh very blue at time this for by four. See the through forged heavily she as Pequod the to parallel keep to contrived oars it's of use occasional the by boat Jeroboam's the ship the and itself between yards few some of interval and preserving communications all prevent means no by did this but. Pequod the with contact direct into come to refused peremptorily he land the of quarantine timid the to adhering conscientiously yet. See, if they can quarantine timid the to adhering conscientiously yet in the mid 19th century on a whaling ship at sea when one of them has a letter for the other and they still have to sanitize. They have to sanitize their hands after any kind of contact. Stay 2 meters apart by poking each other with an oar. You know, surely you people can do it. Surely you people do not need to go and queue up outside of Smith's to go and get The Last of Us Part 2. Because let's face it, you know what's going to happen. Where was I up to? Yes, between flowing and rolling air and sea, incorruptible and off rifle shot a half was ship his though and untainted remained crew boats and himself though 4. Company Pequods the infecting of fearful was Captain her Mayhew that and board on epidemic malignant had Jeroboam the that out turned it. Unnecessary entirely being proceeding that of token in stern boats this from hand his waved question in stranger the captain visiting the accommodate to order Starbucks by rigged being was side ladder the as but nigh drew soon it boat are lowered and lee Pequods the under a beam ranged down bore she yards her squaring Nantucket of Jeroboam the be to ship the proved witch own her setting strangers the by to responded last at was signal Pequods the. Yay, that's the end. Facility small, no with and distances considerable at even. Ocean the upon other each recognized to enabled our commanders whale thereby. It with provided is captain every, attached vessels respective the of names, the with book in collected being signals which all. Signal private at each have fleet whale American the of ships the marines military of vessels the like that said it be here. Made be would response what sea to set was signal the so. Well, there's a tongue twister, isn't there? Yeah. Response what sea to set was signal the so. Yeah, I like it. I like it. She sells seashells. I wonder if it's as crazy going forwards. Let's see. So the signal was set to see what response would be made. Close. It's easier backwards. Her reach to hope not could Pequod the ground other some to passage are making apparently by shooting and windward to far so was she as but whale ship her proved mastheads manned and boats strangers the glass the through by and by. Rock to began Pequod the soon and ship the than faster came breeze the but on blue breeze and ship hand in hand. Story Jeroboam's the 71 chapter. Well, that was mammoth. That was a woolly mammoth of a chapter. I didn't enjoy that in the least. but I'm glad it's done. This next chapter is bound to only be like a page or two, right? It's not too bad. Chapter 70, the Sphinx. We could nail that tonight. We could actually get 2 chapters in, even though that one was crazy long. We've got 20 minutes left. Easy we can get the Sphinx in. So much so I'm going to have a drink of just water tonight, Adam's Ale. And I'm going to play a little bit of the old... look, I finished it. Not quite. I'm doing quite well. Done all the top ones, and I got the middles on the sides. So I got the top ones done, and I've done the middle ones on the sides, and I've got some of the corner ones on the... No, I haven't. I've worked out how to do some of the corner ones, the middle edge ones there, but I haven't done them. I think somebody's been playing with this. I think somebody's buggered it up a bit from where I was up to. I used to be able to do it, the old Rubik's Cube, but I forgot it, and I can't be bothered really working out again, so I've just been using it almost like a fidget spinner, a fidget cube. Remember the other Rubik's toys? What were they? There was the Rubik's clock, where it had 9 clocks? 8 or 9? I can't remember if it was 8, if there was one in the middle or not. But there was 9 maybe clocks on each side of a board, and they were connected inside so that when you turned one of the clocks, using these dials at the corner, you turn one clock and it would make another clock change somewhere else on the other side that you weren't paying attention to. It change it behind your back. It was really annoying. The most annoying thing of it was that the dials on the corners were really sticky. They'd get jammed and it wouldn't turn anymore. So it hurt your fingers after a while to just try and solve it at all. I think you might be better off taking it apart and greasing the innards somehow. I don't know if you can grease the innards of a Rubik's clock, but if you can, that would probably, might make a bit of a mess to all work through the system, but it might make it a lot smoother. It had buttons as well, didn't it? It had 4 buttons that you could push through, which would change which clocks move when you turn which handle. All sounds a bit complicated to me. And then there was Rubik's Magic, wasn't there? Which was like it was a flat object, 8 sections that were tied together with wires that you could turn and swap the places, and it had a pattern on it that you had to make the pattern appear correct. Were there any other Rubik's ones? Rubik's Magic and Clock and Cube. I don't know. Was there a Rubik's steam iron, where you have to iron some complicated shirts with buttons where they shouldn't be? I don't know. Someone should hire me. Whoever was it Erno or Ernst or something? Was it Rubik? Alan Rubik? I don't know. But they should give me a job. I'm good at designing puzzles. I'm not even good at solving puzzles. I can't solve half my kids' puzzles. And they're basically put these boxes on top of each other. Well done. Let's crack on. Mind in duplicate cunning, it's as has but. Matter on lives or stirs atoms smallest they're not. Analogies linked your utterance all beyond far how. Man of soul, oh, and nature, oh. Breeze his bring breezelessness, my to and. Way that along come would Paul Saint. Now would. Man better and better. Us to breeze her down bringing and, sir, bow starboard the on points 3. Away where, man better a convert almost might calm deadly this upon cry lively that. Brow his from a side swept thunderclouds. Oh, nearly missed the hyphenation there, so hasty was I to finish this chapter. Thunderclouds whole while, himself erecting. Suddenly Ahab cried, cheering that's now well, I. Mainmasthead from voice triumphant I cried, ho, sail! Thine is syllable one not and, Abraham of infidel, and make and planets the split to enough seen hast thou. Head O, arms longing, outstretched to husband righteous, are born have would that ship neighbouring the shivered lightning's swift while. Unharmed on sailed still murderers, his and More insatiate the of midnight deeper that into fell he hours for. Deck midnight the from pirates by tossed, when mate murdered the sawest thou. Them to false seemed heaven when, other each to true, wave exulting the beneath sank they heart to heart. Ship flaming there from leaping when lovers locked the sawest thou. Down them lay to lives their give wood mothers sleepless where side sailors a many by slept hast. Went never diver or bell where been hast thou. Home familiar most thy was there. Waterland awful that in there. Drowned the of millions of bones with ballasted is earth frigate this hold murderous her in where. This sounds like a terrible swimming park with flumes. Rot anchors and hopes untold and rust navies and names unrecorded where foundations worlds this amid moved has gleams now sun upper the which upon head that deepest the dived hast thou divers all of thee in is that thing's secret that us tell and head mighty speak mosses with hoary lookest there and yet here yet nearly went forwards. Oh dear, terrible. Beard with ungarnished though which Ahab muttered, head venerable and vast thou speak. Not very kind. This sounds like he's a bit of a big head. Desert the in sphinxes the seemed it calm intense so amidst the in there hanging and head hooded and black was it. Head this on fixed attentively eyes with overleaning stood so and arm one under crutchwise and other it's placed mass half suspended the of part lower the into it striking and decapitation wails the after their remaining still spade long stubs took he main chains the into getting slowly then side the over gaze to paused he quarter deck the on turns few a taking cabin his from alone Ahab came noiselessness this into up and elapsed space short see the upon leaves measureless noiseless its unfolding more and more was lotus yellow universal alike calm copper intense and deck deserted now but tumultuous before over reigned silence dinner there to below went seaman doesn't count the and noon was it accomplished was task last this when Judith Judith of Girdle the from Holofernes giant the like waste Pequods the to hung head blood dripping that there waves the over crane alike projecting side that on yard arm every and masthead lower the from drag downward enormous the of reason by it to overleaning steeply craft strained the with there and element native its by up buoyed be part great in yet might it that so see the of outweigh half about side ships the against hoisted was head the stripped body the and decapitated being whale Pequods the scales jewelers in barn Dutch are weighing attempt to as thing a vain as were this whaler of tackles immense the by even that as burden as such suspend to completely and bulk entire his of third one nearly embraces head whale's sperm therefore a little treat there towards the end of the episode. One solitary sperm remains. Impossible is this Leviathan grown full with, but of disposed deliberately be to deck on hoisted is it whale small to belong it if done that. done that. Stripped his body the till cable by there held and astern dropped his head there severed first when. Let's draw that sperm. Let's draw it big and proud. A big proud sperm with a big wobbly head. Here he is, a big old sperm. He's going to have, not only am I going to draw the sperm, I'm even going to draw like a manga style specular reflection on his eye, like they do in the comics and that. Right? He's going to have a big old like pupil like that. Do they do is that how they do it? Maybe that's just actually Yeah. I'm not convinced by what I've drawn there. I don't really like that. What I've drawn. It's not quite right, is it? How do they do it? Do they have lines like that around it to do like the colour of the? I think I might have drawn Frank Sidebottom's sperm. Have I? I think maybe I've drawn Frank's sperm. Sorry, Sterling, if this was... Yeah. There we go. There's a big old sperm, big old proud sperm, with his big Frank Sidebottom eye on the front. Didn't go as well as I'd hoped. It's not quite as cute as I expected it to be honest. It's a bit monstrous. Now I look at it, they look like teeth. That looks like a mouth with teeth all around it, like a sandworm, and one massive tooth. Maybe that's the venomous tooth that it latches onto you with. Like that. It gets right into that old egg and tears it apart, gets in there and impregnates the... Oh, horrible. Like something out of Resident Evil. Where was I? That's put me right off. So first, when did I read this? That struck the body, this cable. First of all, but deliberately. Let's go from here because I think maybe I just stopped immediately. Impossible is this Leviathan grown full with, but of disposed deliberately be to deck on. Hoisted is it whale small at it. Oh no, I've done this bit because I tripped over whale small before as well. I was half expecting to say sperm again. Oh well, that stripped his body there till blah 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 blah. Held and astern dropped his head. The severed first went. Whale sperm, another one. I bet there's going to be loads of sperm now and I'll run out of space. Whale sperm, a behead to... Yeah, there you go. You see, I told you it was a vicious sperm. It's going to behead you. I'm going to make up for it by drawing a really friendly sperm for this one. Here we go. There we go. Yeah, there you go. There he is. He's got a big eye there. And a smile. A lovely smiley sperm. There we go. He's got his other... There we go, a nice cute little sperm. I'm going to draw him with his eyebrow up. You know, like in cartoons, the eyebrows like hover above the head to try and make him look friendly and happy. I mean, they're not always drawing sperms. They might be drawing, I don't know, Daffy Duck, for example. Murren Buckstansinger. If Murren Buckstansinger were to ever smile, his eyebrows would pop off the top of his head. Whale sperm are behead to minutes 10, but demanded he that boast stubs at then. Marvel not you do. Skull the into insertion, it's by hard point. This has turned into some kind of gruesome horror story at the end. I really didn't need this. I'm going to have dreams tonight. It's by hard point critical at spine the divide exactly and parts interdicted adjacent all of clear steer skillfully must he. Made thus gash ever contracting the into peep single one getting as much so without manner subterraneous that in and flesh that in deep feet many cut to has he circumstances untoward these unto that to mind in bear don't bring a bear into it sea bursting and tumultuous oftentimes and rolling discoloured at in hidden almost subject that and subject his and him between intervening feet 10 or 8 some above from operate must surgeon the that also remember. Oh, it's okay, he's a surgeon, he's been trained, he's not just a butcher, he's a surgeon. Massive difference. Main difference is that you call a surgeon Mr. I called a butcher Mr. I don't know, Mr. Meat. Him, Mr. E. Meat. Him of part thickest the is place very that in there. Join to seam body and head his wear, contrary the on. Neck a called be properly, can that nothing has whale the that consider. Reason without not and, themselves pride much very surgeons whale experienced, which upon feet and anatomical scientific is whale sperm. Way. The of beheading that now Beheaded was he, Leviathan that of body the stripping completely to previous that omitted been have not shud it. Sphinx the 70 chapter. And a final sperm just to round off the day. I'm not going to read any more because it's 5 minutes till the end. I need to tell you to like and subscribe. I'll do that in a sec. I'm going to draw the sperm first. I'll just draw another small one over here. A little sperm there. Friendly little one, but just a little cute one. So there you go. Five sperms. Not a terrible haul. We've had worse episodes. Nowhere near a record. Less than a third of the record for sperms, but still, not bad progress. Not bad progress. I feel like we've achieved something there. I'm glad we got 2 chapters in tonight. Excellent progress. I'll scroll up a little bit so we're ready for next time, which will be next Tuesday. Remember, episodes are twice a week, even though I've been lazy and feckless over the last 2 weeks and missed 2 episodes in the last fortnight or so through various reasons. But back on my stride now. Second wind going on. I think one more episode of this will do it. Don't you think? Hour 27, we should nail it. Easy. Rattle through the rest of this. Maybe that'll be the last episode. Maybe we can all rest easy after that. Or maybe I'll move on to another book. What book should I do next? Who knows? Do you have the time it takes for me to read more than half of Moby Dick backwards to decide? But I'm glad that's done. I'm glad that is done. I may even stop early for a change. Should I stop early? I haven't really got anything else to report. What's been going on this week? We've reduced the COVID threat level, of course. The threat level is way down now, isn't it? It's down to 3 units of threat from 4 units of threat. So, for all practical purposes, that means that there is no genuine danger now. We can all go out and do everything we used to do. Like, I can't remember. What did we used to do? Drive all the way down the motorway for an hour each way just to go to sit in an office to do the thing I could do in the first place, just from home, as it has been ably proven over the last 3 months. Doesn't sound like that good a deal, really. I think I'd rather the threat level stay at 4 and I don't have to go out. If I have to go out, I mean, I might meet you in the street. Not sure about that. That's the threat level. They should leave the threat level at 4, lest we should meet. Terrifying. I would like to be able to go to the garden centre. We're a member of the garden centre club. We get a free coffee every month. 2 free coffees, 1 each for me and my wife. Free at the point of use. Obviously paid for in advance by being a member of the club, but it feels free because you turn up and it's free. And when you go and get your free coffee, because it's free, you feel like, well, I'll have a cake, because we're not paying for the coffee. You might as well buy a cake. Am I being swizzed? I'm being swizzed, aren't I? It's not free at all. Yeah. Kids get to look at the fish, though. Because, it's a garden centre, so they've got fish. Yeah. I might buy some compost. I might treat myself to some compost now that we can go shopping again. Non-essential purchases. I'm going to go and buy some non-essential compost and just leave it out in the garden to rot. Not use it. Yeah. What else can we buy that's not essential? I don't know. If you've got any money that you're thinking of buying something non-essential, don't do that. Give it to the National Video Game Museum instead. The address is down there. It's not a link. I'm going to make you type it in. You need to go through the effort, make the effort to give you money. Just to put you off further. But it would be nice if you did that. And it would also be nice if you liked and subscribed to this nonsense. The more people who like it, the more likely I'll feel that my work here is done and I can stop. So please like it. and then we don't have to carry on. We can cease. We can all do without this for the rest of our lives. We'll never know how Moby Dick starts, but spoiler alert, it's no more exciting than this. It doesn't make any more sense than this. I think there is a chapter where Queequeg and Ahab get in bed together. Can't wait for that chapter. I mean, it's just like a manly cuddle, right? There's nothing sexual about it. But I mean, it was the 19th century. I'm sure Herman felt that he was writing something risque at the time. But as I remember, it's quite a nice little bit of writing. It's quite a nice chapter. So if there's one thing about Moby Dick that I would like to retain in my memory and not forget, it's that chapter. But I am a completionist by nature, and I'm going to finish unreading this, and thereby forget everything that I've ever known, including maybe I'll forget that I ever did this, and then I might have to do it again. I might do it again by accident, having forgotten that I've gone through this the first time. Oh no. Even worse, I might forget that I did this and think, oh, I know a book I haven't read, Moby Dick, the great American novel of 1851. Herman Melville's Moby Dick. Maybe I'll enjoy that. I'll read that forward. I'm quite into whales. I quite like whales. I'd like to know more about them. I don't really know a great deal about them. I know 2 facts about whales. They're made of blubber. Their internal systems are entirely blubber-based. They're not carbon-based life forms. They're blubber-based life forms. And secondly, it takes them over half an hour to brush their teeth. So maybe I'll think, I'll read Moby Dick forwards, and then I can expand my knowledge of whales further. And then we'll be back to square one, won't we? And we'll have to unread it again. Anyway, see you next time when we can continue unreading it for the first time in a perpetual self-sustaining cycle of hate. Good night.